Activates.
Hey there, Light Strike fans! Stick around until the end of the video and I'll show you how to make your Assault Striker super powerful. Hey everybody, this is Kohdok here, and as you can probably tell, it's finally time for my long-awaited Light Strike review. Now, I've really taken a long time to get this thing ready, and there's really no excuse for that. I was given these things months ago, and you know, it's because I've been trying to pull things together that just really haven't worked out, and I've learned a lot about this, and it's really one of the reasons why I haven't done as many subsidized reviews as I was hoping to, is because I've always had this one hanging over me, but it won't be hanging over me anymore. Light Strike are a group of laser tag guns created by Wowwee toys, the same people who make light sprites and paper jams, and it's kind of a combination of both. It uses a similar technique to being able to shoot different colored lights everywhere, and it also uses the plastic button mechanics of paper jams, which is very interesting. An important note about these guns is that you actually don't need this vest in order to play the game. The guns themselves actually have a health bar on them to let you monitor your health, so you can play without a vest just fine and just need the gun, which works pretty well and certainly helps it. Now there's two kinds of weapons in the Light Strike arsenal: the pistols, or the basic strikers, and the rifles, also known as assault strikers. The difference in the guns is pretty much cosmetic, as they all do the same damage, can use the same mods, and have about the same effect. However, aside from their look, they also have different assistance voices. Like the red one has kind of a deep and guttural voice, while the yellow one has a high-pitched one. I don't have an orange one out for reasons I'll get into later, but from the sound of it, it has like a Cortana voice. The Strikers are the basic pistols of the Light Strike universe. They are fairly cheap, around $25 to $30, and they don't use any mods or anything. Everything you need is built into the gun. There are several buttons on here, one of which decides the team and changes your team color, another one of which changes the weapon type that is being used. The third one activates a shield which decreases damage by 50% for about 15 seconds. And the fourth one adjusts the volume of the blaster depending on how loud you want it to be. Although, if you want to completely silence it, you just have to stuff something into the headphone jack on the back here. Now, the pistol has unlimited ammunition, but if you fire too much too fast, it overheats and gives you a warning, meaning it can temporarily not fire, so you need to keep that in mind when you try your beam spamming. The Striker has 4 different weapons. Now, since the Strikers and the Assault Strikers have the same level of health, I can demonstrate for you using the rifle. The Laser Strike is the weakest of the blasts and kills a gun in 12 hits. The Stealth Strike is the same as the Laser Strike, only quieter, and also knocks out in 12 hits. The Pulse Strike is a stronger blast which KOs in 8 hits, but also heats up the gun faster. Finally, the Sonic Strike, which knocks out in 4 hits, but has a very long delay in between shots. Now, if you're knocked out, it's not the end of the world. You can hit the shield button and pull the trigger in order to respawn after a few short seconds. The Assault Strikers are the heavy artillery of the Light Strike force. They are larger, rifle-based machines that can also have room for several mods. They also have an additional attack type called the Rail Strike, which KOs in 4 hits, which means now the Sonic Strike KOs in just 3. Now, unlike the regular Strikers, the team, shield, and other buttons are instead in a Paper Jams Pro-like arrangement around the side of the gun. In order to get the gun to work, you have to hit the fingerprint button to start it operating. Another thing that sets the Assault Strikers apart is that you have to reload them occasionally. You see these green bars down here? When your green bars get low enough and you run out of ammunition, you have to reload by hitting a button on the bottom where you would normally put a magazine. But by far, the biggest appeal of the Light Strikers is the ability to add mods. There are 4 mods, 2 of which attach to the top mount and 2 of which attach to the bottom mount. The refraction system behaves a lot like a grenade launcher and launches a series of 3 successive hits that shave off about 2.5 bars of cumulative damage from whoever is struck by it. It has a short but wide blast, kind of like a real grenade. To activate it, you hit the red button on the grenade launcher itself and pull the trigger, which fires the large blast. The auto fire mount increases the fire and the ammunition of your gun. It converts the gun's current attack into the auto fire mode, which fires a short burst of 3 shots one at a time. There's also a pair of struts on it, which don't really seem to serve much of a purpose in actual combat, but it can make a handy display in order to make it stand up on its own. The enemy scanner has kind of a blade disc shape to it and attaches to the top. Hitting the fingerprint button will activate its radar detecting ability. The radar detecting actually works as long as the guns are pointed in your direction and can detect where an enemy is. It also causes a slight power-up in damage. The scope is definitely the best mod out of the bunch. Along with providing you a red dot sight in order to help you find and strike your enemies, it practically doubles the range and spread of the shotgun-like blast that comes out of these guns, and it also changes the Assault Striker's weapon types to the two most powerful in the game, the Optic Cannon and the Refractor Cannon. The Optic Cannon shaves off a massive 1.5 bars of health per hit. And the Refractor Cannon takes off 2 at the cost of a delayed recharge.
And now, for something fun, we're going to explore the joys of night combat, something you can't really do with Nerf guns and can only really be done with Light Strike or things like this. The lights on the guns and the vest and stuff, they can help you be visual out there. And also, we're also going to be testing the range of the gun. See that over there? That is one of the targets painted red. Now, when I hit it with this gun, it'll turn green. And it really makes a difference whether or not I'm using the scope or not, which I'll show in a minute. But from this distance, I can hit it without even trying. See? Just like that. That's what'll happen. So now, we're going to try it without the scope from several distances away. First from 25 feet away. 50 feet away. Oh, there we go. 75 feet. 100 feet. 125 feet. 150 feet. Nope, think we've hit the limit. Wow, 125 feet without a scope, that's really something. Now, keep in mind that this thing will probably not have quite that range in anything other than total darkness like what I'm in right now, or almost total darkness. There's just a little bit of light pollution out here in the dark. But now let's see what happens when we add the scope. 25 feet. 50 feet, 75 feet, 100 feet, 125, the cutoff point for no scope, 150 feet, 175 feet, 200 feet, 225, 250 feet, this means doubled range. Okay, the scope definitely gives it doubled range, but let's see how far we can really go. 275 feet. Oh, yep, still getting it. 300 feet. This is the length of a football field. Uh-oh. Nope, we've hit the wall, folks. Wow, 275 feet. That is pretty incredible, and that is definitely more than twice as much as 125. Now, if I'd managed to hit the target at 150, we might be in trouble. Now, you can probably barely see the target here. It's that itty-bitty tiny red dot just barely next to that green one there. Probably can't see it at all. That's really how far out I've gotten, and that is almost the length of a football field, and that is pretty heavy. Now, keep in mind that when you are outside in the day, or if you're in a lighted area or street lights, the range will be considerably shorter because all the other light rays are going to come down and beat down on that. But still, if you're doing some nighttime sniping, you can go out at least 275 feet. Pretty cool.
The ITS, or Intelligent Targeting System, adds a new element of gameplay, as now players will have to fight for control of the ITS rather than simply trying to defeat each other. In order to gain control of the ITS, a player must shoot at the ITS's sensor module until it fills up all 4 bars of its color. Now, other players can sabotage this by shooting at it with their own guns, which can deplete them and then replace it with their own color, making those weak, fast blasts much more viable.
Sentry deactivated.
In order to make this more challenging, the button on the top makes the ITS spin. There are actually 2 spin speeds depending on which point on the lightning bolt it's on, and it can spin faster or slower. Now, what does the ITS do when you actually gain control of it? Well, it has 3 different modes. It has the medic mode, which, while controlled by a player, when shot at, refill that player's health by a single bar. There's also a bomb mode, which kind of behaves like capture the flag, which, when all 4 bars are filled and after a short countdown, the thing can be shot again in order to set off a massive explosion which instantly knocks out everybody nearby. And finally, there is the sentry mode, which turns the ITS into a spinning sentry bot that shoots at your enemies for a bar of damage. There are also simpler targets which get packed in with the guns or can be bought on their own, which can be used for basic target practice. They make different sounds when they are struck and change into the color of whatever is hitting them. And finally, we have the vest. Now, I remember telling you that we didn't really need the vest, but I'll get into the details of that soon. Now, to attach the vest goes over your shoulder and then velcros around on your other side. In order to change it into the proper team color, you take the gun with it turned on onto the team that you want, hit the shield and team buttons at the same time, then pull the trigger while pointing at the sensor. If the connection is done right, your gun will be God-moded, meaning its health will disappear, and the vest will change into the proper team color. Now, what's the benefit of the vest? Double health. That's really it. Now, another problem with this vest is it doesn't make any noise when the health is completely defeated. It just has the light in the center blink a bit. Now, that doesn't really work so well. I mean, how am I supposed to know if I've been knocked out or not when it doesn't make any noise and I'm busy firing around with a God-moded gun that won't go quiet when it happens? Now, once you actually get the vest working, there is one big advantage to using it, and that is, should you be so inclined, you can go Guns Akimbo! Aww. So that's Light Strike. Now, what is it like actually playing with these things? Well, there's no real scoring system, so I'd say its bigger emphasis is on fun rather than competition. It's kind of like having a Nerf war without having to stop to pick up the darts, which is pretty fun. It is a bit on the expensive side. I mean, these Assault Strikers are like $35 to $40, and the additional mods are like 10 to 12 a piece, so it can get pretty expensive, and it is definitely a purchase to make as a group. Now, if you're going to get them, I would say if you're going to go for the Assault Striker, get the Assault Striker plus the scope. However, if you're going for just the pistol is all you need. Now, as for what style is best, I think it's gotta be the red ones.
Yeah, he took the red one.
The red ones are definitely the best because even though their speakers are a bit louder, you can turn off the speakers, but here's the thing, they are really, really lightweight and they have a really comfortable grip to them. Like these yellow ones here, they have these weird knobs on the handles here, which you'd think would be like some kind of comfort grip, but since they're not actually made out of rubber, they're made out of the same hard plastic as the rest of the gun, after a while it kind of digs into your hand and gets really uncomfortable. Nope. The red ones, they have a nice, smooth grip design, and they actually have no restriction on the top, which means even my big old hands can get a good grip on them. So if you're going to get any, get the red ones. Now I know what you guys really care about, right? Can you imitate every class from Team Fortress 2 with these?
Get some more!
Thanks for standing still.
Gonna kill you and I'll keep killing you, maggots!
Gentlemen?
Sentry going up.
Yo, a little help here?
Jawohl.
Well, maybe it's not perfect, but it's a flexible enough system and you can do a variety of things with it if you want to. You know, kind of makes me wonder, can these things work on anything else? Whoa! Isn't that cool? The guns work on the light sprites! I swear, it's kind of amazing. It's really funny. Now, obviously these are made with the same technology, hence they came out at the same time, but I think this is really cool. Kind of a crossover action between franchises. Yeah, the light sprites in the playsets react to the guns as though it was the wand, and they can even fire back. The guns and the targets respond to the wand as though it was being shot at. I think this could be something that could be explored, you know, being able to combine boy toys and girl toys together like this could create a unique kind of interactivity between franchises, and I think would be kind of a fun form of imagination. It would certainly make an interesting commercial to see like a boy and a girl duking it out with the light sprites versus the light strike. Improvements that can be made to the brand itself, I'd say get rid of these vests. Unless you can find some way to wire them to pre-existing guns to work so that whenever the vest gets depleted, it not only makes a loud sound but kills the gun while you're at it. And it just kind of hurts sales because people think you need to buy the gun and the vest in order to play the game, whereas you actually don't need this at all. That and the fact the gun actually tracks its own health is just like an itty-bitty footnote on the back of the box. This needs to be in big, bold letters that the vest is optional and that the gun tracks its own health, as that is probably one of the biggest selling points over Nerf, which is probably its steepest competition. In addition, that Light Sprites crossover, which is really funny, could stand to be played up a little bit more, or, you know, turned into a new gimmick. You could make, like, target sets that work like those laser shooting alleys that they have at some places, where you can actually shoot the target and it responds when you hit it, rather than just changing color. Another idea is perhaps a flamethrower mod, which would be an attachment that goes on here, which has a really short range and low firepower, but it does tons and tons and tons of little hits as long as you hold down the trigger. Kind of like a combination of the grenade and this, so poor Pyro can finally get a weapon for him. I think that would be kind of a cool mod. Alright, Light Strike fans, ready for me to show you how to make your gun super powerful? This is something that I call autoscoping, in which you get the damage of the scope along with the firing rate of the automatic mod. Sound pretty sweet, huh? Now, keep in mind that this is actually a bug exploit, so unless you're going to be using it for fun, I'd say don't use it in your official game. Anyway, in order to do the autoscoping glitch, you first attach the scope, then turn on the gun. And then, once the optic cannon is set, you add the machine gun mod. Now, what this does is while it resets the firing rate, it does not reset the damage. Allow me to demonstrate. Watch the light bars closely. Look at that, already dead. Yes, granted it's a bug exploit, but it is a very, very effective one. So, that's autoscoping. Try it out at your next meet and see how fast they fall. And thus concludes my Light Strike review and the last review that Wowwee has me signed up for. You know, I've actually learned a lot over this past half year about reviewing toys. It's definitely not easy, and I've certainly learned my lesson in this case. And Wowwee, I can certainly understand if the fact that I've taken so long to do this one hurts our relationship, and, you know, I apologize for that. Anyway, I've definitely learned a lot. Now I know that if I contact a company that I should only ask them for one brand at a time, not a whole bunch at once. And I should definitely be more prompt on my reviews. Anyway, I think I've definitely learned my lesson and will definitely work harder in the future. And, you know, if you guys have any suggestions for a company I should try to contact to do a subsidized review for next, just let me know in the comments and I'll see what I can get to. And you know what? We're not finished yet. We still gotta do the prizes. Now hang tight, because these just might be the biggest prizes I'm ever gonna give away on this show. Now this is going to be a combination of the Rafflecopter giveaways and my Wowwee giveaways, in which I'm going to run it with a Rafflecopter. However, only people in the United States can apply for the first two prizes because they're too big for me to ship anywhere else. Whereas the third prize can be won internationally. The first prize is a huge spread. Everything you need in order to play the game for 2 players. It includes a striker, an assault striker, 2 vests, an ITS, several targets, and 1 of each mod, which is, as long as you alternate between the weapons, is technically enough for 2 people to play. Now the second place prize is a complete mod set plus 2 targets, meaning you'll have to get the assault striker yourself. And finally, the third prize is an ITS plus several targets. That's Light Strike, and that fulfills all of my commitments to Wowwee for now. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get back into the game. Thank you. This review is brought to you by Pho Vietnam. If you happen to be in the Arlington area and suddenly have a hankering for beef noodles, try Pho Vietnam. Anyway, this is Light Strike, and this is Kohdok signing off.